Welcome to Startup Hack. Today we're going to talk about the 5 reasons to use C#. My name is Spencer Thomason and I'm the founder of StartupHack.com Coding Bootcamp. We love to train developers and help developers improve their talents as they go on this amazing journey of being a software developer. Let's dig in and talk about the top 5 reasons to use C# in your programming. So there are numerous factors to consider when selecting a programming language. Each language has its own advantages and disadvantages. It often boils down to personal preference or familiarity. Additionally, there may be specific tasks that can only be accomplished using a particular language. For me, that language is C#. I've been using it for many years, over 20 years, and observed its versatility. Whether it's developing desktop applications or creating microservices in the cloud, C# proves to be highly compatible. But why do I choose C#? Let me share the top 5 reasons with you. Please note that this doesn't imply that other languages cannot compete with C#. However, having used C# for over 20 years, it's challenging for me to switch to a new language, and plus, I can't really see any beating it. So number 1, the object-oriented programming. The utilization of objects has become commonplace, and when it was first introduced, it was a significant advantage. C# places a strong emphasis on objects and works seamlessly. It provides greater control over code and data management. Moreover, object-oriented programming, or OOP, allows for code reusability and modularity, solving the issues of duplicate code. Object-oriented programming also encompasses important concepts such as polymorphism, abstraction, and inheritance. While I could delve into these topics further, that's beyond the scope of this video. So I recall working for an organization that had software written early in the 80s. It was developed in various old programming languages. Because of this, it would consist of single files with methods, classes, and objects that they didn't exist back then. After we completed the project, the original developer of the application reviewed the code and remarked that he wished that he had these features back when he coded originally. The code was well organized into classes and folders, eliminating duplicate code and allowing for future expansions. I can't imagine a world or C# without objects and these associated benefits. That's why it's top of my list for reasons to use C#. Number 2, cross-platform compatibility. One of the most significant challenges for developers is dealing with diverse platforms. We have Windows, Linux, Android, iPhone, Mac OS, and everything in between. Creating that software works across all platforms, including platform-specific applications like browsers, but it can be a nightmare. Thankfully, more programming languages are becoming cross-platform, enabling developers to write code once and run it on multiple platforms. Admittedly, Microsoft was a little bit late to the cross-platform scene. However, we finally have it with C#. Using .NET Core, I can now create mobile applications that run on Windows, Linux, Android, iPhone, Mac OS. These apps can also function on Windows and Linux. This capability, called MAUI, is relatively new. Nevertheless, even before MAUI, it was possible to develop Linux using C#. Cross-platform compatibility is one of the primary reasons why I opt for C#. With each iteration, cross-platform development becomes more accessible with C# and the .NET framework. I know for me, I took a stint while I was building CleanRouter to learn Linux and taught myself how to code on Linux, and C# wasn't available at the time. And now my perfect worlds have collided. Now you can build .NET, you can build C# using .NET Core and build it onto the Linux platforms, and you can run it on Linux servers everywhere, and it's extremely fast. Number 3, endless possibilities. People often ask me what I've built with C#. Well, the answer is quite simple: everything. From simple Windows applications to full-fledged websites with cloud capabilities. It's impressive, isn't it? But that's not all you can create with C#. Here's a brief list of projects you can develop using C#. You can develop Windows applications, websites, REST APIs, mobile apps, games, cloud services, Windows services, IoT apps, AI and machine learning, AR and VR, automation scripts and tools, GIS, and I'm sure there's a lot that I missed in that list, but you get the idea. You can build pretty much anything with C# now. I won't delve into the specifics of each project type, as each one represents a unique endeavor. However, when I discovered that C# could be used for game development, I installed Unity and gave it a try. It was great. The combination of graphical user interface that allowed me to drag and drop elements and C# code to control those elements made the process really smooth. Ultimately, games could run on multiple platforms, including Oculus Quest, which I happen to own. Number 4, asynchronous programming. So C# strongly supports asynchronous programming, making it easier to write responsive and scalable applications. Asynchronous programming allows you to create code that runs in the background without blocking other parts of your application. This ability greatly enhances application performance by enabling multitasking. By utilizing asynchronous programming in C#, you can develop applications that are more responsive, scalable, and efficient, making them well suited for modern high-performance computing environments. In C#, asynchronous programming is achieved using the async and await keywords, which enable you to write asynchronous code in a manner similar to synchronous code. The basic idea is to declare a method as asynchronous using the async keyword and specify which operation should run asynchronously using the await keyword. And that's another reason why building with C# now is so easy, because that asynchronous programming is built right into the language. Reason number 5. When I began my journey in Microsoft development, I started with ASP Classic pages and was introduced in Visual Studio around 2002-2003 when Visual Studio was released. Initially, I didn't quite warm up to it. I was accustomed to using a different editor for other languages, and Visual Studio felt entirely different, and it felt totally clunky at first. I simply didn't like it, and I can't pinpoint a lot of reasons, but it felt clunky and it was really hard to use. Now, fast forward to 2023, I absolutely can't imagine developing without Visual Studios. It has evolved in countless ways. The free version, Visual Studio Community, is a robust IDE or integrated development environment packed with extensive functionality that meets all of my needs. And if a particular feature isn't available in Visual Studio Community, chances are someone has developed an extension for it or a plugin that allows you to use Visual Studio to your liking. Despite the growing popularity of command line interfaces, I continue to use Visual Studio. With just a few clicks, I can create and run my APIs. I can effortlessly debug code, access various parts of information about my applications, and deploy them to the cloud, and much, much more. Over the years, the design has significantly improved. IntelliSense has also grown, providing better guidance on how to use objects, classes, and liabilities, and ultimately just making developers much, much faster and more efficient and to produce less bugs. With one IDE, I can create whatever I desire. It's just a matter of selecting, clicking, and making a few configurations, and then diving in and writing some code. So there you have my top 5 reasons why I like to program using C#. And these are some of the reasons why here at Startup Hack, we love training developers and talking about development. And that's why we teach with C# and the .NET framework. So make sure you like and subscribe to this channel, and check out our website down below. And if you're wanting to learn more about AI development, we're now taking students in our AI development course. So check out the links down below, or go to startuphack.com/AI today and get yourself signed up today.